I know this is gonna ruffle a lot of feathers. Was this tournament fair?
Like, were Pakistan even the host of this thing? Like,
Exactly.
what?
It was Jay Shah of the ICC and all the Indian players. There was not
No,
one,
yeah.
not one PCB representative. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our final Champions Trophy video. We're gonna wrap it up over here. Braz, how about we just kick things off right away?
Yeah, I think this is a good chance for us to just go over the whole tournament as a whole, speak about the winners, and also in the end talk a little bit about who we think are the flops of the tournament and the surprises of the tournament. But yeah, let's get it going, Sam. India champions, yeah. What are your thoughts on that final game?
Well, I mean, they are officially the most celebrated Champions Trophy winner with 3 titles. A bit disappointing if you're a New Zealand fan. It's another
Yeah,
heartbreak for
yet
them.
another.
The tables have turned. It used to be once upon a time that New Zealand was the thorn on India's side, but now India has become the thorn on New Zealand's side because after this final, in the last 7 ODI games, India have beat New Zealand in all 7.
Yeah, they've really come over that hurdle that a few years ago, back in around when they lost a few big games consecutively to New Zealand. Whether it was the 2019 World Cup semifinal, that heartbreak game for India, or the big game in the World Test Championship final a few years ago, where
Yeah.
Kane Williamson ended up getting the better of Virat Kohli. But yeah, I think it's kind of gone the other way now, where now New Zealand are just struggling to defeat India. Speaking of individual players, I guess, what do you think of Kohli in this tournament?
I think Kohli, because he was coming out of a slump and he did get the momentum going really well. He had a very good shot at winning the Golden Bat. Obviously, he had his record-breaking century, and a lot of consistent performances here and there. But I think he's got a little bit of the Tendulkar syndrome now that he's in the finals. It was just miss, wasn't it, from his end? So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but other than that finals, obviously, you know, only scoring 1 runs. But other than that, oh my God, this
what a
man is
tournament!
class. He is
Absolutely.
class. He's shown that when he's down, you can't keep him down for long. In that Border Gavaskar series earlier, the way he was falling for those fifth stump balls, all the way to then going and playing in the Ranji Trophy, struggling there as well. It wasn't an easy runs for
Yeah.
him there as well, and then coming onto this big stage and then ending up playing a crucial role. The opening partnership as well for India, Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill. They started off brilliantly. They were over 100-run partnership before Glenn Phillips took that flying catch, his third flying catch of the tournament.
Yeah.
But you know, that huge partnership sort of just like gave India such a big boost in that run chase. It's at the end of the day, it obviously what went down to the wire, but it was never really down to the wire like that because you know that partnership made a huge
You
impact.
know,
And
India always had the confidence in that game. When I was looking at the score, I knew that it wasn't really enough because if you look at New Zealand, some very key things is that when we're coming into Dubai, we realized that okay, spinners over here work, right? New Zealand, they were lacking a cup pure spinners. It was only I think Bracewell who was really there, an established pure spinner. They were
yeah,
really
I mean
relying.
they've got the likes of Santner in there as well, and
Yeah, but they're like they're
Ravindra
the
can give you a few overs.
but they're all rounders, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So as because of pure spinners, they didn't really have much in that. And another one is that the loss of Matt Henry. Matt Henry was their top wicket taker. He was the top wicket taker against India in their previous meeting as well in Dubai. So him not being there was another big one. So when I saw that score, I understood that maybe this is not enough. And
Yeah.
coming into the chasing when Rohit Sharma is hitting a six on the third ball, you knew that, India, they had the confidence. They were going to go the full distance. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they had everyone contribute with the bat, really, India, except for Virat Kohli. But let's talk about their spinners because their spinners really pulled up in this game. Varun Chakravarti and Kuldeep Yadav, they've had a good tournament, both of them, in this Champions Trophy. Really put New Zealand in a really difficult position
Yeah.
throughout that whole New Zealand innings. They weren't really being able to put on a good partnership. And that's where I think, like you were saying, New Zealand made a mistake fielding 3 pacers, and of course, None of those three paces were even met, Henry. Overall, the Indian team just had a better team in this game. Actually, I want to talk about one other innings. I want to talk about Daryl Mitchell as well. He scored, I think, like 63 or something like that off 101 or 102 deliveries,
Yeah,
which we've criticized, you and I, we've criticized innings like that previously, when Babar Azam has done it. But here I'm going to praise it because the situation is completely different, you know?
absolutely.
Daryl Mitchell, when he came on, he was in a situation where New Zealand needed someone to stick in there, and he did that so well. Whereas, in previous times when we've explained how Babar Azam does it every game, and in some games he's a top order batsman. He's a batsman who needs to get the runs going. And he plays too slow sometimes, which was one of Pakistan's shortcomings, I think, we talked about as well. New Zealand, they gave a fight throughout here and there, but at the end of the day, India deserved to win.
It really was
But
their game. Yes. But yes, I know we're coming to the but now, and I know and I know this is gonna ruffle a lot of feathers, so but we do need to talk about this, is that was this tournament fair? Because
yeah, of course. I mean, it's going like one step even before that. I'm gonna throw in a question.
yeah.
And I think it's a controversial question. Was this the worst Champions Trophy ever?
Now it's funny you say this because try to imagine this. So imagine you're what, like 10 years later, some new cricket fans, 10, 15 years later, they watch back and see that the 2025 Champions Trophy, which very well could be the last one. We don't really know. But they see that it was hosted in Pakistan, only to see that almost a third of the games were played in Dubai.
I mean, it's that was just it was too much, honestly.
It really was.
This is why the whole question of is it unfair, it wraps around into this. Like were Pakistan even the host of this thing? Like
Exactly,
what?
exactly. I mean, even if,
Even
if
the
you look at
games.
no, I mean, if you look at the finals, right, the award ceremony that they had when you congratulate them, it was Jay Shah of the ICC and all the Indian players. There was not
No,
one,
yeah.
not one PCB representative, not even like a legend that they could call, maybe bring in Javed Miandar or someone like that. Shoaib
Shoaib
Akhtar,
Akhtar very
yeah,
involved. Like you could bring him in. Like
it-
it's
no representation that Pakistan were anywhere. They were really anywhere
Yeah,
in
I
this
mean they
tournament.
just went, and even the games that were scheduled to be in Pakistan, I mean half of them were rained out.
Yeah.
Like it was too many rained out games, and
A lot of good
this
ones as well. Australia versus South Africa. We were looking forward to that, and
yeah,
got rained out.
yeah,
So
just like the rain along with the semifinals and the finals not being in Pakistan, it something about it just felt very wrong. And of course, we've talked about it before that it gives India a huge advantage having played in those grounds, and they knew to play Varun Chakravarti and Kuldeep Yadav or New
yeah,
Zealand. It's not something they were expecting.
but that's the thing. There was a bit of irony in that finals because it was the most traveled team, New Zealand, with 7,800 kilometers traveled, versus India, who traveled 0 kilometers in the entire tournament. So there's a bit of irony in there as well. And
It's yeah,
And I think coming to your point of spinners, the whole part of a tournament is that you're going to different pitches, you're trying out different lineups, and of course you can make the argument like everyone's like played in Dubai, right? It's not a foreign pitch. Everyone knows how to play in Dubai, but that is the part of the tournament where that you have to, you're playing in different conditions. It's not always going to be fresh in your mind. You're playing different lineups. But with India, after the first two games, they sort of understood that okay, this is what works, and we'll just play that. That's simple as that. So
yeah.
it takes a bit of the challenge. It takes a lot of the challenge, I'd say, out of the tournament, in my opinion.
Yes, I mean, I've sort of got like a few reasons along with this whole thing as to why I think it was the worst Champions Trophy ever. Obviously, we talked about the India unfair
Yeah.
grounds in Dubai, uh, but also another thing is that there were very few competitive games.
Mm.
Like most of the games were just so one-sided, except for in England versus Australia,
Yeah.
which I think was an absolute cracker. That opening game for
Even you could
both
make
those
you
teams.
could also make the argument that also felt one-sided, because ended with 47 overs, when English came on, but
Right,
yeah.
but it was at least an exciting game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you didn't know for like the first 35 overs
Yeah,
if Australia were gonna make it or not. All England needed was a couple more wickets, and it would have put Australia into problem. There were some other games like this India semifinals and India's finals against Australia and New Zealand respectively, which, like I said, they were close in the end, but I mean, were they really that close? You
yeah,
knew from the beginning like India would win those games because they had maybe a good partnership at the beginning, or like and it just wasn't really highly contested. Most of the other games you saw, like the Bangladesh games, the Pakistan games, the Afghanistan games, they just were they were just so one-sided. The England games as well. The other game that I think was exciting was Afghanistan England. But at the end of the day, that's just majority of the games are very one-sided. This is supposed to be the Champions Trophy, the best of the best team. That's supposed to be close.
yeah.
Most games weren't, but I think this is something that's not the most negative thing to look at. You could look at this from a half glass full point of view. That if you have so many teams that's performing poorly, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan, England, it means that there's a lot of competition in those middle-ranked teams.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, like, hopefully, more exciting cricket to come.
We
And
get
I think
a bit of the best of the rest situation over here, you
that's
know.
yeah.
Yeah. So
And I think
that's
Sri Lanka and West Indies, two teams who didn't qualify, they'll be hopeful. They'll be hopeful that they're still amongst the ranks of the best teams, just because the best teams aren't really as good as they used to be.
as they once were. No, absolutely.
So yeah, hopefully we'll continue to get some good cricket here and there.
But I think now,
Let's talk about the flops and surprises, yeah?
absolutely, we made some big predictions at the beginning of the tournament. So
All right, before we dive in about the reasons, you give me your top three flops, and your one surprise player, and I'll give you my top three flops and my one surprise player.
okay, so here we go. So my three flops and one surprise. Number one has to be, I think, Shaheen Shah Afridi. He only got 2 wickets in 2 games for such a hyped and talented bowler. Number two is Babar Azam. Now, the thing about is, and he was, if you remember, he was my ones to watch. If you look at his statistics, if someone just looks at the spreadsheet of statistics and looks at his average, he's going to be like, oh, he had a good tournament. But it's what we talked about. The way he was playing, the situation did not demand it, right? He was just playing one style of cricket, regardless of the situation. And the third one, I was kind of disappointed. I think both of us, we were expecting a big tournament from him. Was Rashid Khan. Not the best economy. I think about 6.6 and just 1 wicket and 39 runs in 3 games. That is very unlike Rashid Khan. But my one surprise, and I was very happy with this one, considering he was sort of injured and he didn't really play too many ODIs for a while, was Rachin Ravindra. Oh, what a batsman. So those are my three flops and one surprise. Abraz, I'm gonna pass it on to you. Who do you have?
So flop number one for me is going to be Mushfiqur Rahim. Man with a lot of experience. You expect a lot from him in this Bangladesh lineup. He scored 2 runs in 2 games, which is, I mean, I can't. The word flop just fits perfectly with that.
Yeah.
No better way to describe it. Number two, I've also gone with another experienced wicketkeeper batsman, and it's Joss Butler.
Ooh.
He came off such good form in the Test arena, with those series prior to this whole tournament. And you could say the same for a lot of the English batsmen, like Harry Brook as well, Phil Salt, who you were expected more from, but he just didn't pull up here. Joss Butler, and he's stepped down from captaincy now as well. And my third flop is someone who's a superstar, but we really didn't see him do that, and it's Glenn Maxwell. We
Yeah.
expected a storm, but we only got a light breeze from him. He scored very little runs and also barely got any wickets in his few games that he's played. But my one surprise of the tournament is going to be Varun Chakravarti,
Yeah, I can see that.
made his ODI debut in this tournament. So we weren't expecting him to be doing good, and he ended up being the second highest wicket taker of the tournament, right after Matt Henry. And of course, he's the highest spinner wicket taker as well, which is fantastic to see that spinners are doing great, albeit in Dubai. But Varun Chakravarti, he's a name that's been performing in the domestic circuit well, in the IPL. He's done brilliantly, and he's finally brought it on for his nation. So those are my four.
Yeah, so I'd say I think that's a very good list that we have here. I say it's really great to see some new gen spinners coming from India. We know the likes of Yuzvendra Chahal. They're kind of aged now, so good fresh blood in that team. And yeah, I think that was a pretty solid list. So the only thing we have to really ask is looking ahead. So what do you think, Abraz? Do you think we're gonna see more Champions trophies, or what did this tournament really spell out for ODI tournaments in general?
Uh, I mean, it's what the problem with ODIs was, the one-sidedness and the length of the game, and which is what really like what was always the biggest thing of ODIs not getting enough attention. I do think there's going to be at least one more Champions Trophies, just simply because the next one in 2029 is hosted by India, and they're not just going to be like, nope, we're not doing this anymore. I think they're gonna, if anything, that might be the last one where they're
Yeah,
like, let's end it off at our home ground.
yeah.
But there's probably definitely is one more. But at least we've got a lot of T20 cricket coming up. The Indian Premier League is gonna be fantastic coming up
Oh yeah,
real soon. And make sure you're subscribed and make sure you're followed to our Instagram because there will be a lot of coverage of
yeah.
our
A lot of a
unbiased
lot of
opinion.
news. A lot of news on the IPL. Like you said, we have unbiased opinions because I think between the two of us, we don't really have a die-hard IPL team. We both like KKR because I think they're a bit close to home. But yeah, definitely check that out. Sneak peek if you made it to the end. Harry Brook is banned from the IPL, so we're gonna make a reel on that. So yeah,
Sneak peek.
sneak
All
peek
right.
indeed. Uh,
Well, we hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and stay connected for more. But until next time, it's good morning, good evening, and good night.
wherever in the world that you are.